What's up world? It's Willy What If here with another new video. This is part 3 of What If Deku and friends were isekai'd to the world of Konosuba. Things will really be picking up soon, so please get comfortable and enjoy. Part 3. There was a knock on Izuku's door, and he pulled it upright, panting and sweating. He'd been reliving the fight with the Wolf Queen, only this time, Aqua hadn't been able to save everyone. He glanced out his window, but it was dark, still night. With a grunt, he got out of bed, and carefully opened the door. Standing there was Hatsume, dressed in a robe and clutching her crossbow, pale-faced and with puffy cheeks, her yellow eyes reddened from crying. Midoriya ? In quote. Yes? Izuku said, opening the door a bit wider. Can I sleep in your room tonight? Hatsume whispered, trembling slightly. I had bad dreams. In quote. For a moment, Izuku hesitated. It really was improper, and he'd had to do some convincing to get them both separate rooms in the first place. But Hatsume wasn't the only one having a bad night. Yeah, okay, Izuku agreed, opening the door completely. Hatsume stepped inside, only to press her face against Izuku's chest and clutch him tightly. I want to go home. In quote. Gently, Izuku put his arms around Hatsume, feeling tears begin to fill his own eyes. He sniffled, trying to keep his voice steady. Yeah, me too. In quote. Izuku had to convince Hatsume to leave the crossbow on the nightstand, but when he tried to lie down on the floor, she simply hopped out of bed to huddle up next to him. Don't you not want me to be in the same bed as you? Izuku asked as Hatsume shivered against him. The night was warm, but she was clearly terrified. I don't want to be by myself, Hatsume told him. Mom and Daddy and Hari aren't here. But you are. In quote. Yeah, okay, Izuku sighed. But we shouldn't sleep on the floor then. In quote. Okay. In quote. Hatsume snuggled up tight to Izuku, clutching him tightly. After a moment, she shifted, looking down curiously. What's that ? In quote. Izuku felt himself flush. That's, sorry. I'm not a pervert, it's just ... In quote. Oh, is that your boy thing? How'd it get so hard? Hatsume asked, suddenly interested, before trying to poke it. Don't do that. Izuku gasped. It's, sensitive. In quote. Oh, sorry, do you need Aqua to heal you? Hatsume asked. No, it's just, look, you're a girl and I'm a boy and, well. In quote. Hatsume blinked, her yellow eyes glowing in the dim light, showing Izuku quite clearly the small crosshairs around her pupils. Yes, that is true, but we can talk about that later. I am sleepy. In quote. And then she just dozed off, still holding tight to Izuku. It was a long time before his heart stopped pounding and he too managed to sleep, but this time, he dreamed of far more pleasant things than before. That morning at breakfast, Aqua and Megumin trod down the stairs to sit with Izuku and Mei, up early for once. Good morning, Aqua yawned. She then smiled mischievously at Izuku, looking far too much like the cat who got the mouse. Did you two have fun last night? In quote. I know, we didn't. Izuku trailed off with a strangled noise, unable to continue. We didn't do what? Mei asked, looking up from her glazed rolls. We just, slept, Izuku said lamely. I had nightmares, Mei stated. Izuku helped them go away. In quote. Humph. So you passed the final frontier, did you? Megumin said, glaring at Izuku from her slumped position, clearly disgusted by his antics. Or was that the light of jealousy in her eyes instead? No, we just, Hatsume couldn't sleep, and, well, I was having a hard time too, because of the nightmares. So, in quote. Izuku, are you okay? Hatsume asked, looking worried. She glared at Aqua and Megumin. You be nice to him. I do not know why you are being so mean. Izuku has been very kind. He even beat the bad guy up, and he gives nice hugs. In quote. Sure you weren't after more than a hug? Aqua asked, smirking at Izuku. Hatsume frowned, setting down her food. What else would I be after? In quote. You're a girl, he's a boy. I guess if you're into the stuttering nerdy type he's okay. I'm happy. For you, Megumin said through gritted teeth. Izuku said the same thing last night. Why does it matter if he is a boy and I am a girl? We are both people, Hatsume said. Aqua blinked at her. You don't. I mean, you two did have sex, right? You've been awfully close since we got here. In quote. Oh, yes, sex. No, we did not kiss, Hatsume said and went back to munching on her roll. Aqua and Megumin gaped at Hatsune while Izuku tried to sink down in his seat enough to disappear. Hatsune, sex isn't kissing, Megumin said, rolling her eyes. You can kiss your parents, or your sister, or even a friend. But, when you love someone and you're, close, then you ... and quat. You do the horizontal hula. Aqua laughed. What does dancing have to do with kissing? Hatsune asked, face blank and uncomprehending. Izuku, meanwhile, was busy choking on his food before Hatsune started pounding his back until he coughed. We didn't have sex ... and quat. No, but I would not mind if Izuku kissed me. I have not wanted a boy to kiss me before, but he is nice, Hatsune stated matter-of-factly, which nearly made Izuku start a new coughing fit. You really don't know? Aqua asked, sounding shocked. I am an expert on love, Megumin proclaimed, as I have a tale of tragic romance in my past. You see, just as my lover, Kazuma and I, were about to consummate our feelings, when we received word that we in quat. Oh, give it a rest, you're still a virgin neat, just like Kazuma, Aqua interrupted, rolling her eyes. Listen to a real expert on the subject. You see, when a boy and a girl love each other very much, they in quat. Kiss one another, then get married, Hatsune interjected. I am not a baby, I know how it works ... and quat. Yeah, so, you and Izuku, Megumin held up her hands, making a circle with one and sticking her finger through it and moving it in and out. What is ... and quat? Hatsune copied the gesture until Izuku let out a sob and buried his head in his hands. Midoriya ! And quat. Look, you're not listening to me. Aqua snapped. Sex is how you mortals reproduce. It's a big part of the Axis faith. That's why love is one of our main tenets! And quat. No, humans reproduce by making babies, Hatsune said. The male inseminates the female, and her egg implants in her womb, then grows into a fetus which turns into a baby after 9 months. That's coitus ... and quat. How do you know what coitus is but not sex? Izuku groaned. Sex is what happens in movies and stuff. It is very gross, Hatsune said authoritatively. My dad said so. He said it was super gross, and I wouldn't like it, and not to kiss any boys. But he is not here so I can do what I want ... and quat. Yeah, so Izuku's holy sword goes into your sacred cave, and you passionately look into one another's eyes and then there's an explosion. Megumin cackled. Yes, exactly, Aqua declared. And that's what you and Izuku have been doing, obviously ... and quat. Humph, Megumin sniffed, turning away and folding her arms over her chest. You don't know anything, Aqua ... and quat. Of course I do. I'm a goddess. I know everything about love. Aqua argued. Yeah, but you're a goddess, so you don't even have sex, Megumin snapped, turning around and glaring at Aqua. Kazuma even said he was never even interested in you! And quat. That's because I'm far too beautiful for mortals, Aqua sighed dramatically, putting her hand to her chest. Then she grimaced. Besides, Hatsune is totally right. Sex is super icky. I don't know why you mortals like it so much, but I need more followers so I do have to encourage people to get busy ... and quat. What? No, it's amazing, and wonderful, an expression of true love. I have longed for the day I can hold my lover in my arms and finally go past the point of no return together. Megumin argued, standing up and shouting, her face going nearly as scarlet as her eyes as she panted like a wild animal. PFF, like you would know. Listen, if you're going to become a real goddess, you're going to have to give up on all that stuff. If we have kids with mortal men we become mortal and lose all our divine powers, you know that, right? Aqua said, rolling her eyes at Megumin's antics. That's what happened to poor Ristardi. Fell for a hero she summoned, and ended up going full native. But then of course, upper management thought it was sweet and also she made both of them back into gods in the end. But she got old and gross and died. Who'd want to do that? And quat. What? Megumin cried, clutching at the tablecloth and looking devastated. You mean, me and Kazuma, we can never question ... and quat. Oh relax, he's still in the divine realm with Yun in darkness anyway. He's just going to keep playing his stupid H games. He's not that into you, Aqua said dismissively. Trust me, being a goddess is way better. Having followers who worship you and give you offerings is the best. Of course, you have to take care of them and keep them safe, but that's kind of fun because then they know how awesome you are ... and quat. Yun. That treacherous big-titted, ooh, Kazuma. Megumin leapt up on top of the table, sending platters and cups crashing to the floor. She raised her fist to the sky and screamed, You'd better not be putting the moves on poor Yunyun while I'm gone. You keep your hands to yourself, mister, or so help me I'll quat. Hatsum, Izuku whispered. Can we talk? Outside, alone and quat. Sure, she's just making a mess and I'm full anyway, but we have to hurry because I want to make some more babies to help us if more bad guys come. Hatsum declared. Damn it Meghuman, you got food all over me. Come down from there and stop yelling. Kazuma can't hear you, Aqua shouted, trying and failing to drag her friend off the table. If you give in to big busted temptation, I am deleting all your save files and transferring your items to my characters, you understand me? Meghuman ranted as she struggled against Aqua. I'll explode your computer. I'll draw on your face in your sleep. I'll quat. Izuku shut the door behind him, sighing and glad that the rant was muffled by the thick wood. He then glanced around, seeing the nervous innkeeper and maids looking down the hall to their private dining room. They're just, playing, Izuku said, laughing nervously. They are talking about sex and stuff, Hatsum said. Apparently, there is a boy named Kazuma that Meghuman likes, but I think he is a god or dead or something and it is very weird. But now Izuku and I are going to have a private conversation. I think he is MMMMFF. Quat. Ha ha ha, bye. Izuku nervously chuckled, putting his hand over Hatsum's mouth and dragging her towards the back door of the inn. Midoriya. Hatsum said, slapping his hand away and glaring at him. I was talking to them and quat. And that's what I wanted to talk in private with you about. Izuku hissed. Oh and quat. Hatsum frowned, cocking her head to one side as she allowed Izuku to hustle her out of the inn. You look very upset. Was I being rude? And quat. No, I just and quat. Izuku shut the door of the inn behind them, then slumped to the ground, burying his face in his hands. Hatsum crouched beside him, looking worried. I'm sorry if I was rude. I do not have very good social skills sometimes. And quat. It's okay, Izuku said, sighing and lowering his hands. I'm very good with social skills either. And quat. Well, that is okay, I do not mind too much. But it was very rude for you to put your hand over my mouth like that, I did not like it. Next time, use your words. I will try to listen. And quat. Yeah, I'm sorry. And quat. Izuku leaned back, studying Hatsum for a moment, then blushed and looked away. Hatsum, do you like me? And quat. Yes. You are my first friend, Hatsum said happily. Mom and Dad were always worried I did not have any friends, except my babies, of course. But now I know you. And you are a person, which is what they wanted. And quat. No, I mean, Izuku sighed. I mean, do you, as a boy. And quat. You have very nice muscles, Hatsum said seriously. I like to touch them and when you give me hugs. It is not like when Dad gives me hugs either. It makes me feel very nice. And quat. I feel nice when you hug me, too. Look, I'm really bad at this, but, Hatsum, I think you really like you and will you be my girlfriend? And quat. Hatsum narrowed her eyes at Izuku, and his heart felt like it was about to jump out of his chest and flop on the ground. Then she smiled. Oh, you were talking very funny for a second. If we are boyfriend and girlfriend, does that mean we would kiss one another? And quat. Maybe? Izuku squeaked. He was not ready for it when Hatsum suddenly grabbed him by the tunic and pulled his face to hers, pressing her lips to his. Slowly, Izuku reached up, putting his arms around Hatsum, drawing her close to his chest. After what felt like both a very long time and not long enough, they broke apart, panting. Hatsum hummed, flushed and looking very pleased with herself. Yes, that was very nice. I think we should be boyfriend and girlfriend now. And quat. Why you mean it? Izuku managed, gasping for breath. Yes, I like that. Well, now we can tell Meghuman and Aqua that we did have sex, and that Aqua should get over it because it is actually fun, Hatsum said. Hatsum, I mean, should I call you May, now? And quat. I do not mind. I am always confused a little when people call me Hatsum, because that could also be anyone in my family, but only I am May. Does that mean I should call you Izuku now? And quat. Why yes, if we're going to be dating. But, look, we just kissed. We didn't, well, we didn't have sex, Izuku explained. Oh? May frowned. But we said we are boyfriend and girlfriend and kissed and now we can have fun together, like making babies. I have lots of ideas. We should go and inquat. No, listen, sex, that's what people say when they mean, coitus. And, that's sort what, married people do, and stuff. When they make, human babies. And quat. Wait, there is more than just kissing? Mei jolted upward, pulling Izuku with her. You are going to have to explain. I got only a C in biology. I did not like it as much as chemistry and physics. And quat. And so, Izuku found himself having perhaps the most embarrassing, thrilling conversation of his young life. When he was done, Mei considered. Yes, that makes sense. And people enjoy this, you say ? And quat. Well, I mean, I wouldn't know, but that's why, when you get close to me, my boy parts, react to you. And quat. I see. Well, I do not want to have a human baby right now. They are messy, and smelly, and very noisy and a real bother. Trust me, I remember when the brats came and it was not fun. And quat. Well, I mean, yes, I definitely don't want to get you pregnant, Izuku agreed, feeling slightly faint at the sheer nonchalance. My parents, well, never mind. The point is, this is all, really personal and stuff, so and quat. You can have sex without getting someone pregnant. And quat. Izuku jumped about 2 meters up in the air with a yelp, spun about in mid-flight, and came down facing Aqua, his body crackling wildly with energy. And quat. Izuku, you used your quirk without breaking yourself. That is very good. You are getting better, Hatsum said happily, coming over and giving him a hug from behind. Hee, I'm going to make such wonderful babies for you. But what are you talking about, Aqua? I thought the point of coitus was to have smelly babies. And quat. Yes, but most mortals just have it for fun, Aqua said, rolling her eyes. That's why we gods made it so you enjoyed it, so you'd make babies and put up with the bother. You just need a simple protection spell. And quat. Octot thanks Aquabai, Izuku babbled and tried to run off, but with Hatsum still hugging him, he was only able to drag her a few feet before she dug in her heels. No, wait, I want to know. We should try this! And quat. I am saving myself for marriage. Izuku blustered. No sex until then! And quat. Oh, alright. I do not think we are ready to get married yet, Hatsum said, letting Izuku go. But we should think about it. Then your boy part would stop misbehaving all the time. But I'm going to go make babies now, And quat. Then she trotted off, leaving Izuku alone with a sniggering Aqua. It's not funny. Izuku protested. We were talking, and quat. Relax, champ, Aqua casually said, draping her arm about his shoulders in a way that would have looked more natural on a drunk businessman, and not a teenage-looking goddess. I practice what I preach. All love is good. You're both healthy young adults, you can do whatever you want, as long as you both consent. I've even got a special offer for you, if you ever wanted to really have some fun. And quat. Aqua breathed into his ear. Sweat beaded on Izuku's forehead as he fought not to fidget. What's that? Aqua? He swallowed, trying and failing to edge away from the manic goddess's vice-like grip. If you were to become my follower, I'd grant you a spell that would keep Hatsum from getting pregnant, Aqua whispered into his ear. You could do it all night long, no risks. It even keeps you from getting diseases and stuff. The Axis cult believes all love is good, but it also believes in safe sex! And quat. Izuku froze. Why you don't say ... And quat. Images and sensations from Mei hugging him at night filled his head involuntarily, and he struggled to think straight for a moment. He was better than this. And so how do I join the Axis Church? Izuku heard himself saying. Curse you teenage hormones. He inwardly screamed. It's super simple. Aqua whipped out a pen and parchment form, handing them over to Izuku with a big grin. Just sign here. You pledge your soul and worship to me, Aqua. You just have to pray to me and give me a yearly offering. Normally you have to go to one of my shrines, but since we're best buds and all, just remember my birthday! And quat. When's your birthday? Izuku asked as his pen all but flew across the page. August 1st. Well, in this world, you can just go with half a moon past midsummer. I like bubbly drinks the best. Thanks for joining the Axis Church, Aqua said, taking the parchment from Izuku and smiling. It dissolved into light in her hands, and Izuku couldn't help but feel like he'd just signed his life away. Or possibly his soul. Maybe even literally. Izuku shuffled his feet nervously. Oh okay. So, what do I do now? Question mark and quat. Just say the holy words. When you require my aid, say, the goddess Iris pads her chest. And quat. Izuku blinked. You're serious? Question mark and quat. Of course. It's a surefire set of holy words, very sacred. I said them myself. Aqua laughed. The goddess Iris pats her chest? Seriously, that's oh! Exclamation mark and quat. An odd sensation made a very sensitive region of Izuku's body tingle, and he let out a gasp. There you go. You can use it as many times a day as you want, but you have to pray to me again before you can use it. It lasts either an hour or until you know. That thing Kazuma does with his socks, Aqua explained, making a disgusted face. Oh, okay, Izuku said, flushing and covering himself with his hands. Listen, I gotta go. And quat. You don't need to get a sock. I think Hatsune would probably be happy to help you. Aqua called, laughing as Izuku raced away even faster. As it turned out, Izuku chose neither option, simply going for a run until he was finally able to calm his pounding heart rate down to its usual semi-panicked flutter. Izuku tried to process what all had happened in the last not even hour and how he felt about it. He liked Hatsune, he really did, but everything was moving way too fast for Izuku's comfort. They'd only known each other for a few weeks, but now Izuku was confessing to this girl and asking her out? Combined with the fear and other horrible thoughts that had been swirling around them during the same time frame, it was like a roller coaster Izuku desperately wanted to get off of. Not even touching on all that other stuff Aqua was trying to pressure him into, or had succeeded on. No. He had to take his time, he'd figure this out. It was what he did. After another couple laps around the village though, Izuku saw a column of horses approaching. He ran to the village entrance, panting slightly and waiting for them to arrive. What is this? New travelers, here to seek my dark power? Question mark and quat. Izuku turned, seeing Megumin also trotting up to the arrivals, followed by her usual coterie of worshippers. Oh, hey. Yeah, they're probably here for you or Aqua. You two seem really popular lately. And quat. The riders reined in before the two of them, and Izuku got a solid look at most of them. They were mostly knights in armor, though there were a couple of people in robes Izuku assumed to be mages. A pretty well-armed group indeed. Hello, Izuku said, bowing slightly. Welcome. I'm Midoriya, this is Megumin. What brings you to the village? Question mark and quat. You are Lord Midoriya Wolfsbane? The mage in the fanciest robes asked, dismounting and stepping forward. She bowed. Greetings, in the name of my uncle, King Charles of House Ferm. I am Magus Aline Ferm. And quat. I'm not a and quat. Yes, he is Wolfsbane, slayer of the ferocious demon queen of the wolves. Megumin proclaimed, flinging her cape aside dramatically and raising her staff. Behold, I am Megumin, goddess of the Crimson Demon Clan. I am she who will master explosion magic, and bring apocalypse to this world by destroying the Lord of the Tomb forever! Exclamation mark and quat. The mage gasped, and suddenly struck a dramatic pose. I greet you, O Megumin, dark goddess of destruction. Behold, I am Aline, master of 8 spells, and wielder of dark powers! Exclamation mark and quat. Izuku closed his eyes and forced himself not to groan aloud. Not bad, Megumin mused. But you just hold the one pose. Don't be static. You've got to move about, at least a little. A truly dynamic pose both strikes fear into your foes, and inspires your allies. And quat. To jump off a cliff in shame? Izuku muttered. What was that? Megumin asked. No, jumping about is too much. Maybe a little hop at the end though. And quat. Like this? Aline asked, springing to the side. Yes, very good. I see already you have converted to my glorious order of the Crimson Demons. Megumin cackled. Yes, my lady, Aline said, bowing deeply. Already, your priestess has struck great blows against the foes that press upon us. I would ask you for the boon of your mighty explosion magic myself, that I might aid my people! Exclamation mark and quat. Very well. Kneel, my sister, Megumin said, raising her staff. Aline sank to her knees, looking up at Megumin with awe. I grant you my divine power, explosion magic, the greatest of all magic. Megumin intoned, passing her staff over Aline and then pressing it gently to her forehead. Let its dark knowledge flow through you! Exclamation mark and quat. Aline gasped as her eyes glowed red. I see it, I feel it, the dark power of destruction! Exclamation mark and quat. Very good. And quat. Megumin took out a piece of parchment, and quickly scribbled something down. Here. Memorize this, then burn the parchment in secret. When the time comes, speak my holy words, and your foes shall know true destruction! ! And quote. Izuku got a look at the paper, and this time failed to withhold a soft groan. It was all about gazing into the abyss, and power erupting forth. It read like something a middle schooler would write on their social media accounts with a picture of them in too much makeup. It didn't even affect the spell itself, from what little he had been able to piece together from Megumin's own ramblings and Aqua's critiques. I shall do as you command, my lady. Thank you. Already, our mission is a great success, Aline said, kowtowing to Megumin. Yes, well, don't fawn. Crimson demons do not fawn. Not even the goddesses! And quote. Oh, yes, of course, Aline said, scrambling to her feet. She was obviously flushed, eyes blazing with a zealous passion, but she smoothed back her fervor for a moment as she fixed her hair and turned to Izuku. Lord Wolfsbane, please, we have come to beg your aid. A large force of monsters, more terrible than any we have ever seen, has attacked our kingdom. Already, the city of Illumage has been put to the torch, and one of our armies defeated in the field. They march now on Quran, and our forces may not be enough to stop them. And quote. You want me to fight an entire army? Izuku gasped, feeling a bit faint at the thought. Not alone you won't, Megumin said, sounding determined. What forces comprise this army? And quote. A mixture of insects and undead, my lady. If it were just them, they would be fearsome foes, but their leaders are terrible to behold. They have slain our mightiest maguses and most skilled knights. Even those bearing holy weapons have been vanquished. My cousin, the Duc de Rivière, heir to the throne, was killed along with his entire honor guard when they faced but a single general. And quote. Megumin and Izuku shared a look, and nodded. We'll come, Izuku promised, face set and determined, even as he felt his hands shaking. We came to this world to stop the Lord of the Tomb. And that's just what we'll do. And quote. No. Su. Ba. My hero. It had long been Kazuma's dream to share a bath with a beautiful woman, to have her scrub his back, and exult in the titillation of the scenario. Which was why his current situation just felt so wrong. Is something amiss, Kazuma? Darkness asked, pausing in the act Kazuma had so long dreamed of. No, it's just, you've still got a smokin' body and a great rack. So why does it feel like, I dunno, Aqua's washing me or something, Kazuma complained. Darkness tisked and shook her head, continuing her cleaning. It is because you are in love, you silly man. And quote. Yeah, I guess, Kazuma admitted. Darkness finished, then turned around so that Kazuma could return the favor. This really isn't like the last time we shared a bath. And quote. No, but then you thought I was but a dream, didn't you? Darkness laughed. She turned slightly, grinning at Kazuma. Now that I am clearly flesh and blood, how does it feel? And quote. Like I'm taking a bath with my big sister. And not my sexy stepsister either, Kazuma sighed. I dunno, we've just been through a lot together. I care for you, hell, I think I even love you, but. And quote. But as I love you. As my perverted and foolish sibling, Darkness finished for him. Yeah, I guess. So, how's it going with Tokoyami? And quote. That made Darkness blush and cover herself, which was pretty pointless because Kazuma really had seen it all, and he just wasn't interested anymore. He is, well, let us say that if I were sharing a bath with him, there would be a rather different connotation to it. Darkness chuckled, her voice going throaty and seductive. Oh, knock it off. PFFT. At least one of us is getting laid, Kazuma groused. Just make sure you don't get knocked up. Now would be a real inconvenient time for that to happen. And quote. We have not, that is, why we provide one another with comfort and pleasure, it is not yet that sort of relationship. I confess, I feel slightly guilty as though I am taking advantage of him. I am a demigod who is hundreds of years old, yet he is only a boy by the reckoning of your people, Darkness explained. I wouldn't worry about it. He's old enough to get married here or back home. Back in your home, Kazuma said. Darkness smiled, sighing and relaxing as Kazuma sank back into the water. It is your home too, Kazuma. And quote. Nah, that's wherever you and Megumin are. And, well, Aqua too. I actually kind of miss that useless goddess, Kazuma said, shaking his head. Yes, we were something of a failure as an adventuring group once she left, were we not? Darkness looked pained for a moment. We can't fail again, Kazuma. So many people died. Nearly 80% of the world's population, destroyed by the Lord of the Tomb's invasion. And quote. Yeah, it was Hard, judging people who were my friends, Kazuma admitted. Did you ever, see Iris ? And quat. Her Majesty vanished, as you well know, Kazuma. Not even Aqua knew what happened to her, Darkness told him, looking solemn. But my father, our friends, so many of them died. We have to prevent that here. And quat. Yeah. I'm still trying to come up with a plan, honest. It's just. The people here, they're so weak. I mean hell, I'm an archmage to them. I'm just a medium-leveled adventurer, and I wiped the floor with their best knights when we trained. I think we're screwed, Kazuma admitted. Darkness hugged herself, tears welling up in her eyes. Don't say that, Kazuma. There has to be a way. And quat. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that uses Uraka and Tokoyami. They're tough and strong, both of them. Honestly, they're more powerful than most of the cheat items we gave out. If we've got half a prayer, it's the two of them. And quat. Then we shall make the most of what we have. I am with you, Kazuma, to the end. And quat. Yeah, just don't make me watch you die again, Darkness, okay? That was the worst day of my life. Kazuma dipped his head in the water, trying to hide the tears. Very well, but do not ask me to look on as you die either, Kazuma. It broke my heart each time before, even knowing we would simply resurrect you, Darkness told him, scooting over to give him a hug. Kazuma returned it, resting his head on her ample chest. Nope. Just doesn't do it for me. Damn it, Darkness, you've ruined boobs for me! And quat. You cad. And here I thought you were actually in need of comfort. Darkness squawked, dunking Kazuma's head under the water. Then she let out a gasp as he used his freeze skill. They ended up laughing and splashing one another, before finally getting out and drying off. Thank you, Kazuma, I needed that, Darkness said as she pulled on her padded cotton undersuit. Yeah, not just the bath, Kazuma agreed. He held out a fist, which Darkness playfully tapped. Guess I could have picked a worse ugly older sister. And quat. And I could have gotten a far dumber little brother. Though perhaps not one as perverse. And quat. Outside, Kazuma found an irate-looking Tokoyami. You. How dark you sully Darkness' reputation with. And quat. Relax, Edgebird, Kazuma said, patting Tokoyami on the shoulder. She's like a sister to me. And not a hot step-sister you have a few scenes with. Just my big, dumb sister. She's all yours, pal. And quat. Really? Tokoyami said, looking towards Darkness. She smiled and bent over to gently kiss him on the cheek, a rather chaste gesture for her. What can I say? Perhaps your gentle mannerisms are winning me over? And quat. Nah, you're just a big horny slut, Dark Shadow opined. You said it, not me, Kazuma laughed as the two lovers fidgeted. Come on, let's go see what Uraka's been up to. And quat. As it happened, Uraka had just finished a bath of her own, and was sitting in her room, studying a book of magic while she dried off her hair. She looked up, smiling at seeing the others. Hey, Tokoyami, have you read any of these magic spells? They're really easy. Look! And quat. Uraka pointed a finger at a feather sitting on the table beside her. Levitate! And quat. Slowly, the feather lifted off into the air, floating around the room for a moment, until Uraka cried, release! And quat. I had not tried, Tokoyami admitted. He pointed his own finger at the feather. Levitate! And quat. This time, nothing happened. Wait, here this talks about how to concentrate your will and apply it to the physical world, Uraka said, hurrying over with the book. I've only got the one spell so far, but I think I could learn a bunch of magic! And quat. Maybe, Kazuma said, picking up the feather and looking at it thoughtfully. Uraka looked like she was about to explode, but he held up a hand. Hold on, have you tried any other spells? Like, a fire spell, or an electric one? And quat. Yeah, but only levitate seems to work for me, Uraka admitted. I think it might be because of my quirk. And quat. Yeah, I think so, Kazuma agreed, spinning the feather in his hand and thinking. Your quirk lets you manipulate gravity, right? And quat. Well, sort of. I just removed the effect of gravity on objects. And quat. To demonstrate, Uraka slapped the book, then dropped it, only for it to simply slowly spin in the air next to her. Anti-gravity, Kazuma agreed, thinking. I know a skill that increases the effect of gravity, or maybe an object's mass. Let's see. Wait! And quat. The world went white, and the next thing Kazuma knew, Darkness was hauling him out of a pile of rubble as his ears rang. He blinked and saw Dark Shadow hovering over a battered Tokoyami, who had thrown himself over a stunned-looking Uraka. Guards and knights got a hold of Kazuma and the others, dragging them out of Uraka's now ruined room. Thankfully, they'd been in a manor house, not the main fortress, and the only injuries were things Kazuma was able to mend quickly once he was able to get back on his feet. "My lord, what happened?" Archmage Denker asked, having arrived along with a dozen other powerful magi. "We detected a great outburst of magic. Did some spell of yours go awry? And quat. "No," Kazuma said, a maniacal grin spreading over his face. "No, I think I just figured out how we're going to beat the Lord of the Tomb's army. Get me to Frederick, right now! And quat. "Just so you know," Uraka told Kazuma as a carriage was brought around for them. "That was, perhaps, the single stupidest thing I have ever seen anyone do. Did you never take a physics class? Gravity and anti-gravity don't mix. I think that's actually how I ended up dying, because I used my quirk on Midoriya when he had on that contraption of Hatsum''s! And quat. I told you I was a NEET. I ditched school to play video games, which means I know dick about physics, but I do know a lot about combo moves," Kazuma told her. "Yeah, well, next time, warn us before you do something stupid. I'm just lucky Tokoyami realized what an idiot you were about to be, and that dark shadow was quick enough to shield both of us," Uraka told him. Then she smiled. "But, hey, at least we did live. And I guess we figured out something useful, anyway. You're not too bad, Kazuma. Even if you're a dumb pervert. And quat. And you're not too bad for a money-grubbing killjoy," Kazuma said with a lecherous grin. Uraka rolled her eyes, but then held out a fist to Kazuma. After a moment, he tapped it. "We'll win this, Kazuma. Don't you worry. I'm not dying again. And quat. Yeah, trust me, it's not an experience you'd ever want to have. And don't get me started on that whole good death nonsense. They all suck, trust me. I've died a dozen times and they were all painful and humiliating. And quat." They met with Frederick and Denker in a private audience chamber, the Kaiser looking even more frazzled than before. "Well?" he demanded without preamble. "So, I think we've come up with a way to put a serious dent in the Lord of the Tomb's army," Kazuma said, then briefly explained the interaction between his weight skill and Uraka's quirk. "You people don't happen to have any mages that can do that sort of thing, do you? And quat. "No, if a lightning spell and a weight-increasing spell are used on the same object, they will either cancel each other out, or the stronger spell will exert more of a force on the object," Denker said, stroking his long gray beard and furrowing his brow. "How is it that your spells interact in such a fashion? And quat. "Well shit, I don't know," Kazuma admitted. "Maybe they operate on different principles, or maybe it's the fact that one uses my quirk, and the other uses magic from a different world?" Uraka suggested. "Perhaps two different kinds of magic were not meant to mix together. And quat. A blending of mortal and divine could indeed have unforeseen consequences," Denker agreed. "Though you should really consult a priest on such matters. Their spells are of a different origin than a magus'. And quat. "Yeah? Do any of them know turn undead?" Kazuma asked, thinking of the skeleton knights from their arrival. "Only the highest-ranking clergy can perform such a spell, but they have been largely ineffective against our foes," Denker informed. "Ugh, figures," Kazuma said, slumping into a chair uninvited. He looked out the window, rubbing at his aching head. He could heal most of his own wounds, but lesser heal wasn't nearly as effective as he'd like. A thought occurred to Kazuma, and he pulled out a tube of rolled paper with a wax fuse in it. "Say, do you guys know anything about explosives? And quat. "Explosives? You mean, such as alchemical fire? We have some of that," Frederick told him. "It is difficult to manufacture though. And quat. That could be useful. What about glycerin, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid? You know about those?" Kazuma prompted. Uraka's eyes went wide. "Oh my god, Kazuma. Are you going to try to teach them how to make dynamite? And quat. "What of saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur?" Tokoyami asked. "That would be useful. And quat. I do not know what it is you spoke of, Archmagnus Kazuma, but we have what Lord Tokoyami asked for. Saltpeter is used to cure meat, charcoal can be found in any fireplace, and sulfur is a component in many spells," Denker informed them. A slow grin spread over Kazuma's face, and he rubbed his hands. "Well, then all we need is a bell founder, and we can set to work. And quat. "A bell founder? What need have you for bells?" Frederick demanded, looking suspiciously at the stick of dynamite in Kazuma's hands. "Well, let's just say, we're about to revolutionize warfare forever," Kazuma told him. Come on, I bet I can use my smith skill to make some cannons and muskets. And quat. Thus, over the next few weeks, Kazuma, Uraka, and Tokoyami worked frantically to apply their knowledge of chemistry and modern inventions to create as many weapons as possible to fight the approaching army of the Lord of the Tomb. It took a few tries, mostly trying to remember the correct ratios and creating results worth using consistently, but Tokoyami and Uraka managed to get a process going to create large quantities of crude gunpowder, which was useful in and of itself. This allowed for hundreds of simple bombs to be made, which they could toss at the enemy with siege weapons. Kazuma quickly gave up on the musket idea, as after half a dozen prototypes he wasn't anywhere close to a workable weapon, and as Frederick pointed out, crossbows were readily available and what his troops knew how to use. Cannon, on the other hand, proved to be relatively simple to make. They were crude muzzle-loading smoothbore devices, but Kazuma already knew about bagged shot, and it wasn't hard to use his smith skill on a few bells to show what he needed. It was a little harder figuring out how to aim and use the damn things, but upon seeing a cannonball that weighed 10 kilos shot over a kilometer and caused a significant amount of destruction, Frederick all but declared Kazuma a national hero. This will give us a fighting chance against their monsters and sorcery, Frederick proclaimed, smiling widely for the first time they had known the man, as he slapped Kazuma on the back enthusiastically. Now, if only I had 100 of them! And quat. Sadly, there were not that many bells nor that much bronze in the city, and the iron and steel cannons Kazuma tried to make tended burst from the heat of the blast, so he had to scale back on the idea. After a full month of production had passed, they had still managed to make 25 cannons, thousands of shots, and even more bombs. Now, we just have to beat that army, Kazuma muttered, standing atop the walls and leaning on the parapet. It was night at the moment, but Kazuma could clearly see where the Lord of the Tomb's approaching army was. It was actually hard to miss, with fires burning all across the horizon. Despite the many kilometers of distance between them and the city walls, the smoke was already filling the air, making it harder to breathe. Or maybe that was just the anxiety of seeing a horde of monsters ready to pillage approach. Kazuma wasn't quite sure. We can do it, Kazuma. These weapons you and the others created, they are quite impressive, Darkness said, rubbing her hand along one of the cannons. It was a massive weapon, large enough that Kazuma could have crawled inside of the barrel, and they had needed to build a special platform specifically for it atop a mounted turret, as well as have Uraka help raise it up using her quirk. Yeah, they'll certainly make a big boom, Kazuma chuckled. He grimaced. Sort of wish I had a useless mage here to help me with that, right about now. Maybe it's best Megumin isn't here. She always was jealous of my own explosions. And quat. Darkness came to stand over by Kazuma, her own expression growing solemn as she looked out at the line of destruction inching its way towards them. Was this what it was like, in Berserk as the army came near? And quat. Kazuma shivered, feeling an icy sense of dread in his stomach. Yeah, probably. And quat. They looked out together for a time, looking at the end of the world as it approached. Kazuma sighed and shook his head. Come on, let's get some rest. They're sure to attack soon. And quat. They had just left the walls when a runner approached. My lord, my lady, His Grace the Kaiser requests you for a final briefing. And quat. What, another one? How many ways can we find to say point the shooties at them and fire? Bah, fine, we'll go talk to Fred and see what he has to say, Kazuma complained. They rode up to the citadel, where Uraka and Tokoyami were already waiting. Come, final preparations are already underway, Tokoyami said. Kazuma nodded, dismounting from his horse and handing over the reins. He was just about to step inside when alarm bells started to go off in his head as his sense foe skill triggered. Whoa, something's coming, Kazuma said, putting his hand on his sword. Fast. And holy shit, they're strong. Stronger than me! And quat. Where? Darkness demanded, drawing her sword and looking around. Damn it, they're stealthed, but flare. Kazuma threw his hand up in the air, sending out a shining crimson marker that illuminated the courtyard. In the shadows at one side, 4 figures appeared. At first glance, they looked like normal servants, dressed in dark dresses with white frocks, but a closer look showed them to be just oh so slightly off. Their hair had a strange sheen, and their eyes glowed malevolently in the dim light. One of them was especially odd-looking, with an eye patch and strange metallic skirt. We are revealed, the odd maid said in a dull monotone. As she raised her arm, Kazuma realized with a start she was holding a massive gun. Kill them! And quat. Kazuma hit the dirt as the robot maid thing opened fire. His horse screamed and went down in a spray of hot blood, and he heard Darkness cry out, though what she said was washed out by the lingering ringing from the bullet in the air. Kazuma jumped back to his feet, Chunchunmaru in his hands, but Darkness was advancing as bullets simply bounced off of her armor. She was bleeding from a few superficial wounds on her face. It relieved Kazuma's heart immensely as he watched a bullet simply impact her cheek. It simply bounced off, leaving behind only another minor cut. Thank God she put all her points in defense, Kazuma sighed. He looked to the side, then let out a cry of panic as another mate came at him, this one wielding a naginata. She slashed at Kazuma, but his evasion skill allowed him to dodge, if only by a margin. He backpedaled, parrying with Chunchunmaru and trying to get his footing. "What the hell are you?" Kazuma cried as he desperately fought to get some distance, with his foe pressing him relentlessly. "We are the homunculi-made assassins of the Great Tomb," the maid said in an all-too-chipper voice. "We bring service with a smile exclamation mark and quat. Oh great, this is going to ruin the maid fetish for me forever." Kazuma ranted. Freeze exclamation mark and quat. The maid easily dodged Kazuma's bolt of magic, giggling as she stabbed at him. "This world has such weak magic users. No wonder our master was willing to send us after you. A mere level 20 squad is enough to beat all of you exclamation mark and quat." "Ha! Shows what you know. I'm level 28. Kazuma snapped. That made his assailant pause. "Level 28? But, there are no levels in this world, and even with world-class items, the king of this land was evaluated at no more than level 15. And quat. The brief moment was all Kazuma needed. Steal. He felt the familiar feel of panties in his hand, and he mentally groaned. The one time he wanted his stupid skill to work. "PP pervert, only my master is allowed to treat me in such a manner." The maid cried, and redoubled her efforts to kill him. Despite his brag, the problem Kazuma had was that Adventurer was a really basic class, with low stat gains. The main advantage was that it had access to nearly unlimited skills, but it was generally terrible in combat. Kazuma had always had to rely on his creativity and his party members to defeat really strong foes, and he couldn't manage to think now to actually get in a good blow. "Uraka exclamation mark and quat." The maid, expecting some strange spell, tensed up for a moment. She looked puzzled when Uraka simply slapped her on the back before dancing away again. Before the maid could follow up on the strange happenstance, however, she let out a cry of surprise as she suddenly floated off the ground. She failed her arms for a moment, trying desperately to find leverage to swing her weapon with. Kazuma ducked away from the increasingly frantic swinging. "Get down! Wait exclamation mark and quat." The hapless girl exploded in a blinding flash of light, the shockwave knocking Kazuma flat on his ass. He groaned, scrambling to his feet and looking over at Uraka, her own foe dead on the cobblestones. The way the dead maid was lying in a crater made Kazuma think she'd fallen from a great height, which made sense. Uraka was alright with a sword, but that quirk of hers had potential. "Thanks," Kazuma said, and looked across the courtyard. Darkness was panting, her sword covered in blood as she stood over the robot maid. Her armor was dented and battered, but aside from that she looked fine. Well, actually, she looked orgasmic, but that was normal. "Hey, nice work," Kazuma said, running over. Tokoyami had dealt with the last maid, Dark Shadow having overwhelmed his foe quickly. "Thank you. It seems my sword skills have improved," Darkness said. "But be wary. She is not yet dead. And quat. System, malfunction, attempting repairs." The maid gasped, dark viscous fluid leaking from her mouth. Kazuma knelt down in front of her, examining the assassin more closely. "I feel like I've seen her before, but I can't remember where," Kazuma said, shaking his head. "Did we fight her when we attacked the Lord of the Tomb before question mark and quat?" "I do not recall fighting any maids," Darkness said, "nor seeing such strange weapons. And yet, I cannot shake the feeling that I should know her." Who are you question mark and quat? Designation CCC, error, access denied, in an insufficient credentials, the maid said in an electronic voice. Initiating self and quat. Darkness fist slammed into the robot's head, which exploded in a fountain of gore and metallic parts. "An assassin of some sort, based on her stealth abilities," she said grimly, shaking her fist to get rid of the filth. "Yeah. The other one, she said she was level 20. How strong was this one?" Kazuma asked, taking the battered gun from the corpse. It had a distinctive sci-fi look to it, and was made of gleaming silver metal. Unfortunately it was ruined now, though it looked powerful. "I am not certain. Her attacks did reduce my HP, at least a little, and she damaged my adamantoise armor. Perhaps as high as level 60? Darkness guessed. Wait, if she's level 60, how high are you? Uraka asked, looking faintly ill and trying to hide it. I was the third highest level in our party, so level 69, Darkness explained. However, my skills in defense were such that I was equivalent to someone of a much higher level, though there were few in Belzerk who were that powerful. And quat. Lord Kazuma. What has happened? And quat. Kazuma turned to see Frederick running, sword in hand, followed by a dozen knights and mages. Assassination attempt, Kazuma said, gesturing to the corpses. Lucky we got here when we did. Well, luck has always been my best stat. And quat. Assassins? From the Lord of the Tomb? Frederick asked, looking puzzled. But why? Their armor is far superior to ours. What need have they for treachery and deception? And quat. I don't know, Kazuma said slowly. But, thinking back, it was kinda weird that those high-level death knights and a lich showed up right when we did. The Lord of the Tomb. He always fought, I don't know, differently. It's almost like he's some sort of power gamer, who knows the strategies adventurers would use. I remember his forces attacked Axel first, which was the town where adventurers just started off. It seemed weird, the Devil King had always ignored low-level threats, but this guy is different. And quat. Was not the Devil King someone summoned from Japan who defeated the previous Devil King? Darkness asked. Could not this Lord of the Tomb be the same way? And quat. Maybe, Kazuma admitted. Whoever he is, it seems like he's read the evil overlord list. He's not making many mistakes we could exploit. If Fred here got iced, that would really throw the defense into shambles. And quat. There is a chain of command, Frederick said with a shake of his head. But then he paled. But, most of the lords and maguses with experience were gathered together this night to plan. If these assassins had struck and taken us all out. And quat. Well, it didn't happen, so why worry about it? Kazuma laughed. See, we got this in the bag. Now, I think I'll just repair Darkness armor and get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow, we'll destroy the Tomb King's army, and start on beating up the bastard himself! And quat. That got a ragged cheer, and Kazuma smiled and waved, then walked away with his party. How bad is it? Uraka asked once they were a sufficient distance away. Bad. Really bad. If they've got a bunch of strong fighters like that to throw at us, we're in hot water, Kazuma said. But those cannons might make the difference against that massive army out to knock our teeth in. Besides, don't worry. I'm the man with the plan. I'll think of something, no matter what happens. And quat. He had to. Do not fear. Kazuma always has a plan. We have faced countless foes stronger than us, and his plans always delivered us in the end, Darkness said, which seemed to reassure Uraka and Tokoyami. They didn't see the look that passed between Kazuma and Darkness. What about the time when his plan had gotten everyone killed? Plus ultra. Explosion. Presenting his grace, Lord Midoriya Wolfsbane, and his lady Hatsum of the Forge. And quat. Izuku winced at being introduced as such, but Mei was leaning on his arm and looking around excitedly at the nobles that filled the great hall as they walked in. Izuku, do you think the king will like my babies? I wonder if he'll give me funding for a super cute workshop to build all day and night! And quat. Maybe, but we should ask about that later, Izuku whispered to her. And, presenting for the first time, their most divine graces, Lady Aqua, goddess of water and archpriest of the Axis Church, and her dark majesty Megumin, archwizard the Crimson Demon Cult and mistress of explosions. And quat. Thank you, my adoring worshippers. Aqua called behind Izuku. I, Aqua, your goddess, am here to save you all! And quat. All around Izuku, noble in their finery, knelt as Aqua and Megumin walked in. The guildmages, however, struck ridiculous poses and cried, Behold, she who will master explosion, Lady Megumin! And quat. Good grief, Izuku groaned. It was like watching a bad internet meme spread, only most of the people doing it were old enough they should have known better. They do look very silly, but it would be very rude to tell them, and I think it would hurt Megumin's feelings again, so we should be nice, Mei told Izuku. Yeah, sorry, you're right, Izuku sighed in agreement. They walked down a plush purple and gold carpet leading through the grand hall, crystal chandeliers glowing with mage lights above them. The entire hall was made of dazzling white marble with gilded accents, and decorated with elaborate murals and wall hangings. At the end stood a raised dais, upon which stood an impressive throne carved from what appeared to be a single piece of ivory. And upon the throne sat an older man, looking somewhere just shy of 60, with a neatly trimmed white and gray beard and a weathered face. He was dressed in shining golden armor, along with a feathered mantle of dark green. His crown was a simple golden circlet, set with a ruby at the center, glimmering in the light. Izuku and Maid both went to bow, but were stopped when the king suddenly stood. "Lord Midoriya, Lady Hatsune, you bow to no one here. Tell me, are you indeed from another world? And quat. Yep. We're from Japan. Are you from Earth too? May asked. Charles shook his head. No, I was born here. 2 centuries ago, my ancestor, Enji Yamamoto, was also sent to this world. With the blessing of the goddess Psyche Dio and her husband, Saint Yaa, he and Quat. That's not their names, Aqua pipped up, coming to stand by Izuku. You're mispronouncing them. She's Sakido, and he's Saya. And Quat. Sakido? Doesn't that mean restart? Izuku asked. Humph, yes, Aqua said, puffing her cheeks out. Rista thinks she's so smart. Changed her last name to Sakido when she married Saya. He was from Japan too, you know. Now they're both gods and just completely insufferable. And Quat. The king blinked, taken aback by the apparent theological revelation. I did not realize this. Your pardon, Lady Aqua. And Quat. But I've got a super great deal for you today, King Charlie, Aqua said, drawing out a familiar piece of paper. If you convert now to the Axis faith instead of whatever Rista's calling her church, I'll grant you 1 scared object as a bonus! And Quat. But if instead you convert to the Crimson Demon cult, I will grant you the greatest of blessings! Explosion. Megumin cackled, drawing out her own parchment and waving it about. Your pardon, goddesses. I shall, of course, offer you both offerings and prayers, but I am afraid that as ceremonial head of the new religion in Royaume, I am afraid that I must decline. I have legalized your cults, of course, and I am deeply grateful for your blessings upon this world, and for your very presence, King Charles said, bowing slightly. Humph, Aqua sniffed. Well, I guess I'll still save your land, since so many of my followers live here now. But you better build me a super cool temple, with lots of fountains, and it should be nicer than Rista's too. And Quat. My church should meet in a dark catacomb, or perhaps in a hidden dungeon, and meet only at night, in secret, while wearing masks. Megumin declared. And there needs to be a secret password, and all our rituals should be super mysterious! And Quat. The king blinked, a look of incredulity passing over his face, but he ultimately bowed. Of course, as you will, goddesses. Now, as to why I requested your presence. A great army of goblinoids and undead are making their way towards our borders. They must be stopped before they ravage the land beyond repair. I ask for your aid in stopping them. Already, I am mustering my army, and shall ride forth in 2 days' time to stop them. Your temples shall, of course, be given in gratitude for your aid. And Quat. And I want a workshop. A big one, with lots of materials to make cute babies with. Izuku, May said eagerly. She held up her crossbow. We could make you more like this. And armor like Midoriya's. I'll show you all how to make aluminum and generate electricity too. We could make lights, and all sorts of stuff! And Quat. Whatever you desire, Lady Hatsune. I have been told of your wondrous creations already. My alchemists and craftsmen shall provide all that you require. And Quat. Then Charles turned to Izuku. And you, Lord Midoriya, what is it you want? I can make your title far more than just a name. I would be willing to grant you a duchy, and all the incomes associated with it. And Quat. Actually, I wasn't planning on staying, Izuku said, feeling nervous and shifting uneasily. May suddenly took his hand and squeezed it, smiling at Izuku, and he felt much more confident. Taking a deep breath, Izuku explained, you see, when we defeat the Lord of the Tomb, I was going to ask Aqua to send Hatsune and I back to our own world. I have a promise I have to keep. I was given a great power by the greatest hero in our world, All Might. I promise to be the symbol of peace for our country, which has troubles of its own. I hope that doesn't disappoint you too much. And Quat. I'm saddened to hear you will not stay with us, but I understand. You seem to be a lord in your own land and as such, you have a duty to fulfill. You are a man of honor. Still, I shall name you Lord Midoriya Wolfsbane in truth. Whatever you ask of the crown, if it is in my power, I shall grant. And Quat. Thank you, Izuku said, blushing. Actually, we're sort of tired, it was a long trip. Could we maybe eat and have somewhere to rest before we get ready to fight the Lord of the Tomb? And Quat. Of course, I had planned a great feast to honor your arrival, but perhaps now is not the time for frivolities, the king said. Come, let us adjourn to my private dining room. And quat. Aqua and Megumin turned out to be more interested in meeting with their followers than food for the moment, so Izuku and Mei ended up alone with the king and some servants in a small private chamber. Once the food was served, the king dismissed the servants, leaving them alone. They chatted quietly over dinner, most of the conversation coming from the king asking Izuku and Mei questions about their homes and families. It felt strangely normal to have dinner with the ruler of an entire nation, as the king had taken off his crown and armor to dress in fine but simple clothes. It seems that your land is one full of wonders, but in the end, people are the same, I suppose. It does disturb me to hear of so many dangerous men, whom you call villains. Are there truly no monsters for humanity to face? Other races that vie for dominance? The king asked. Nope, just people. Are there aliens here? Mei asked curiously. I've always wanted to go to space and find aliens. I wonder what sort of technology they have, what babies they can make! Quat. There are indeed other races, the king nodded. Goblinoids are the most common, though there are the Fae as well to consider. Most of them have been long since driven from the lands of men by heroes such as yourself, sent by the goddesses. And quat. Can I ask you something about the goddesses? Izuku asked, and the king nodded. I don't mean to be offensive. I know it's your religion and all, but don't you think Aqua and Megumin are a bit strange? Maybe, I don't know. Silly question. Quat. Of course, they are goddesses. They are not like men, the king replied as if it were obvious, but they do such weird stuff. Mei laughed. Like those silly poses, or the things Aqua says about love. Why do you listen to them so much? Quat. The king considered this for a moment. In your land, many are born with great gifts, such as your incredible vision, Hatsum, and your strength, Midoriya, yes? Well, in these lands, men are not given such great powers. I would walk naked through the streets of my city if it meant I would be given the power to protect my people. Men have long required the aid of the gods to secure our place in this world. An odd dance is a small price to pay for the power to change the course of a battle, and paying homage to a deity, no matter how odd, gives priests the power to heal our sick. And quat. I guess that makes sense, Izuku admitted. It was hard to argue that Aqua and Megumin weren't powerful, or that they didn't bestow potent gifts. Izuku had been willing to put himself through an exhausting physical and mental hell for a year to get one for all. He definitely would have been willing to do a few ridiculous dances or pray to Aqua if it got him something similar. If he were honest, he had to pray to Aqua for something else already, and he hadn't even tried that yet. Well, this meal has been most enlightening, in many ways. I look forward to seeing you both during our planning sessions later. I am sure you will provide insights we would not foresee. You may retire to your rooms, or partake in leisure about the palace and city for the evening. And quat. The king said, standing. Thank you again, brave heroes, for coming to our aid. And quat. It was still fairly early, so Izuku and Mei went about finding the palace smithy to work for a bit. On the way, however, they were ambushed by Aqua and Megumin, who were hurrying through the halls. Quick, you have to save us. Aqua pleaded to Izuku, grabbing him and shaking his shoulder. They won't stop! And quat. What, who's there? Izuku demanded, tapping into One for All and assuming a fighting stance. Ever since he'd officially joined the Axis faith, it was becoming increasingly easier to channel the quirk without tearing his muscles with every move. He could now afford to let his power flow through him with barely a thought now, though he still had to hold back most of the time while actually attacking, or risk serious injury. We'll blow him up. Hatsum cackled, opening the jacket she wore to reveal half the dozen homemade explosives she had taken to carrying. No explosions. Megumin ordered, speaking what was ordinarily blasphemy to her as she waved her hands frantically. You can't blow up our followers! And quat. That brought Izuku up short. Huh? He looked down the hall, and could just make out voices coming their way. Please, goddesses, share more of your wisdom! And quat. I must know, who will be the best wife for my son! And quat. Tell us, what does the future hold! And quat. Izuku let out a soft groan as the pressure of One for All dissipated. You're running from your own faithful! And quat. At first it was nice and all, but they just won't stop. They're all asking dumb things, not even how to heal the sick or something important. Aqua whined. I just want somewhere to drink my bubbly and be left alone! And quat. Half of them aren't even qualified to receive my blessing, and they keep demanding to know the significance of the poses and hand gestures I make. They won't even listen when I tell them it's just because it looks cool. Please, Midoriya, haste soon, you have to rescue us. You're our champions, do your job! And quote. Mei and Izuku both gave the two blubbering goddesses flat looks, but then Mei nodded. I guess we should help you or something, since you're our friends. You sure we can't just do a few explosions? That would scare them off, I bet. And quote. No explosions. Especially inside the castle we are currently invited in, Izuku said firmly. Come on, I have an idea. And quote. He led them through a few doors until he found a maid scurrying through the halls. Hey, do you know where they keep extra clothes for servants? Izuku asked her. Yes, m'lord, but in quote. No time, quick, show us where it is. Izuku told her. With a squeak, the maid took them through a few side passages to a closet that contained fine clothes for important maids and butlers. No good, we need really simple clothes, like the stuff normal people wear, Izuku told her. Why do you in quote? Just do it, okay? Aqua cried. Hurry, the nobles are catching up! And quote. The maid complied, taking them down a few stairs to the lower levels of the palace. These are mostly old clothes for scullery maids and stable boys. They're kept by the church to hand out to the poor. But in quote. Perfect, thank you, it's just what we need. Don't tell anyone you showed us this, okay? Izuku told the maid, and handed her some of the money Blue Eye had given them. Izuku, what do you want with these rags? Aqua asked, wrinkling her nose as the maid scurried off. Change into them. We can stash our old clothes in the laundry basket, Izuku explained quickly, taking off his own shirt to put on the stable boy wear. We can go out looking like servants, and no one will notice. And quote. I do not think so, our hair is wrong, Mei observed. I have been looking, and everyone has the same colors of hair here. Yellow, brown, and some black. No pink, or green, or blue! And quote. I cannot be seen without my signature robes. Megumin protested. This is the look of a crimson demon, and in quote. Look, do you want to hide or not? Izuku interrupted her. Because if you go out in your hero costume, people are going to realize who you are. We can't do anything about your eyes, but if you wear a hood like us and keep it down no one will notice. And quote. Hero costume? Yes, it is very heroic, but I do want to just be alone for a while. Fine, but you better not look. Megumin lectured. Why? Mei asked, already having stripped out of most of her clothes. Megumin glared at Mei. Do you have no shame? Showing off, are you? It's not my fault I am an ageless immortal. If I grew up, my boobs would be just as big as yours. Besides, some guys like smaller women. I'll have you know! And quote. Mei looked down at her own rather ample assets, cocking her head to one side. They are mostly a bother. They get in the way, and if I do not wear the right underwear they hurt sometimes. Izuku, what do you think? And quote. Izuku stammered, trying hard to look away, but ultimately failing as Mei walked up to him, jiggling her chest and frowning. Thankfully she still had on her bra and undershirt, but it was still very distracting. That is not fair. He is your boyfriend, of course he will be biased in favor of big boobs. Megumin snapped. Oh relax Megumin. Come on, we can change over here, Aqua said, grabbing the irate mage and dragging her over to another closet. Mei watched them go, looking a bit puzzled. Why does it matter? Everyone is different. Boobs are just a secondary sexual characteristic. Like big muscles for boys. I have muscles too, but they are not as big as yours. I like your muscles though, does that mean you like my boobs? And quote. Yes, very much, Izuku admitted, trying very hard not to stare. What would Hatsune think of him? I see. I really should have paid more attention in biology, Mei mused, then started getting dressed in the rough servant's clothes. Didn't you, start feeling different when you were in middle school? Izuku asked, forcing himself into motion and putting on a pair of rough woolen trousers and over tunic. They were dyed in simple colors but ended up fitting surprisingly well. Mei had chosen what were obviously male clothes to Izuku's eyes. She apparently had an abject disdain for dresses despite the urgings of some of the servants to get her to try them. Well yes, but it was mostly annoying. Hari and Mom helped me when my girl problems started. Do boys have something like that? Mei asked. Quickly, Izuku shook his head. And no, definitely not! And quote. Really? Then why do you keep trying to hide your underwear in the morning? Mei asked suspiciously. Izuku bit back a reply. He did not want to talk about the unforeseen complications of sharing a bed with a very cute girl, especially since it made it very hard to relieve said pressure with May around all the time. The dreams were entertaining though. No, stop it. He had to focus. Let's just go see what Aqua and Megumin are up to, Izuku said, hurrying outside to avoid the topic. As it turned out, the two troublesome goddesses were already changed, with both of them now wearing shawls pulled low to hide their hair and eyes. They were both dressed in simple dresses, Aqua somehow having found a blue one, while Megumin had picked out the darkest one she could find. So now what? May asked. We go out and party. Aqua declared. I've got loads of cash from all the offerings, so we'll find an inn and enjoy ourselves! And quat. I don't know if it's such a good idea to just go get drunk, Izuku said cautiously. Besides, Hatsune and I are underage, and well, Megumin sort of looks, and quat. If you say I look like a kid, I will personally ensure that a terrible misfortune falls upon your head, the mage growled. Bah, who cares? There's no drinking age here. Come on, we're going to go fight a war in a couple days. Relax, have some fun while you can. Aqua all but sang. Let's go! And quat. So off they went. It was easy enough to get out of the palace, leaving through a servant's gate by following some real servants out, and heading out into the larger city. Though it was growing dark as night fell, the streets were still busy and crowded with people who had just gotten off work. Sparse torches along select stone walls casting a mellow light upon the hustle and bustle. Aqua even got directions to an inn with a nice selection of drinks easily enough from a passing worker. Just down the street a ways, the Pint and Pickle is a good tavern, excellent wine. Though I must ask, are you looking for rooms? Your features are quite foreign. Are you refugees? We've been getting more and more of them, though thank the goddesses the devils are still far off from our walls. And quat. We're just here for a good time. Come on you guys, I want to try some new wines. Aqua cheerily said. It didn't take long for them to find the inn, which had a sign depicting a pickle sticking out of a mug of ale hanging out front. It was filled with people laughing and enjoying themselves, most of them looking like well-off merchants, servants, or peasants who were there to enjoy themselves after a long day of labor. What can I get for you? A serving boy asked them as Izuku's group sat at a table near the back. 4 of your house drinks, and something greasy and tasty to eat. Aqua ordered. And sweets. I already had dinner so I want some dessert. May demanded. I can bring you 4 tankards of ale, 2 deniers each, and the food will cost you another 10. And quat. Sure, bring it on. Aqua laughed. I'm flush with cash. She dug out a couple of gold coins and gave them to the boy, whose eyes nearly bugged out on seeing them. Thank you, milady. I'll be back with your food. The boy ran off immediately, and Izuku let out a groan. What? Aqua asked, frowning at him. That's probably enough money to stay here for a week. You just gave him 2 francs, which are worth 12 argentum, and each argentum is worth 12 deniers. The food and drink was going to cost us 18 deniers, and you gave him the equivalent of 288. And quat. What? I got ripped off. Hey, give me my change. Aqua squawked, standing up and shaking her fist until Megumin jerked her back down. You start yelling about that, and it's going to draw attention, Megumin hissed. Just forget about it. How many of those gold coins do you have, anyway? And quat. I don't know, I stopped counting after the first 100 or so. I thought it was just like Iris, so fairly worthless. Aqua complained. Would it kill you to pay attention to money for once, Aqua? Megumin sighed. This is why the rest of us always had to keep your reward money. You'd always end up spending it on something stupid like a chicken egg. And quat. Emperor Zell was a dragon, he was just a small and fluffy one, Aqua grumbled under her breath, arms crossed. Izuku looked at Megumin, who grinned and shook her head. She spent millions on a dumb chicken egg. He made a nice mana battery though. And quat. Before Aqua could protest, the boy hurried back with a platter of fried chicken, sweet rolls, honey fruit, and bread pudding. Be back with the drinks, milady. He panted, and turned to go, but Megumin put his hand on his shoulder. He spun, looking guilty. Hey, none of that. We're just normal customers, okay? But keep the drinks coming, and we won't ask for any money back. And quat. Of course, yes, miss, the boy agreed. Megumin removed her hand and the boy sprinted back, returning with 4 ales and a bottle of wine. Here you go, if you need more just wave and I'll. He paused, gaping as Aqua appended a mug, draining it in seconds, before slamming it back down with a massive grin. She did the same with each of the rest, then let out a great belch before she laughed. That was good. Something for my friends too, this bottle is all mine. Come to mama, sweetie, I've missed you! And quat. I'll be back with more ale and wine, the boy promised. Sheesh. Maybe you didn't overpay ... and quat. Izuku wasn't that hungry, but he still picked at the candied fruit simply to not drink on an empty stomach, while he watched in amusement as Aqua proceeded to guzzle the wine straight from the bottle. Have you always been an alcoholic? And quat. PFFF, I'm a goddess, I can't actually get alcohol poisoning, Aqua said, smacking her lips in satisfaction. Plus, I'm a goddess of water. This stuff comes naturally to me. And quat. Won't you have to pee a bunch? May asked curiously. No, goddesses do not go pee. Aqua ranted. I've been meaning to ask you about that, Megumin said. 'Cause, it's been a while and I haven't had to go. And quat. Our divine bodies convert everything into pure energy. Aqua declared. We never have to go pee or anything else that gross mortals do. And quat. Oh, I mean, I don't miss it, but it's kinda weird. I always thought you were making that stuff up, to be honest. It made sense in the divine realm, but when I first came back here I had to, go. But ever since I've gotten more followers, I haven't, felt the call of nature. And quat. That does not make any sense. You should still have to excrete some form of waste. Hastum objected. Your body can't possibly process everything you put into it! And quat. Nah, it totally does. I don't even have to get drunk if I don't really want to, I just like how it feels, Aqua told them. Slumming it with mortals is actually pretty fun, so I let myself experience things like getting tired and sleeping, or eating and stuff, but I don't have to do it. Prayers and offerings are enough to sustain us goddesses. And quat. Is that why your anatomy is so weird? Megumin asked. You look like a doll in the bath. I always wondered about that, but I didn't want to ask. And quat. Hey, let's talk about literally anything else, Izuku cried desperately. Yes. Enough of that, let me tell you about the super cute babies I have been making, Hatsum said. They ended up talking for several hours, and Izuku ended up ingesting enough ale to leave a faint warm feeling pulsing throughout his body. He might have also ended up going on a long rant about the superiority of various All Might product lines and why the American Year's All Might line of figures in particular were the best, but the others seemed happy enough to listen. They all ended up talking about their own hobbies after that. Aqua, to no one's surprise, loved drinking and partying, but she turned out to also enjoy exploring new places and had an insatiable curiosity when it came to new experiences. She was also an accomplished artist in a dozen fields, and ended up performing a complicated song and dance atop their table that had the cheering for more. She went on to perform an impromptu shadow puppet routine that had the entire inn laughing hysterically and sobbing by turns, each line more slurred than the last. Megumin's interests extended far beyond explosions and funny poses. She talked excitedly about several dozen games that Izuku had never heard of, explaining the importance of different stats and builds and how to min/max your character for maximum damage output. She was also a big fan of cute things, especially cats and Hello Kitty in particular, having discovered the brand while in the divine realm. In contrast, Mei and Izuku's interests were somewhat narrow. Izuku only cared about heroes, and All Might in particular, while Mei loved inventing and building things. Don't worry about it. As you get older you'll discover more things you enjoy, Megumin told them. I used to only love explosion magic, but there's more to life than that, even if explosion is still the greatest thing ever. And quat. It is very fun, but I like making babies more, Mei declared. I'm sure Izuku does too, Megumin deadpanned, which caused him to choke on his drink. Mei had to pound his back while Megumin cackled at her pun. Alright, dash enough here, Aqua said, staggering back to their table. Come on, heck, we've just got started. Let's move this party on! And quat. Yeah, fine, you look like you've had enough anyway, Izuku sighed. The rest of the inn was sad to see Aqua go, having rather enjoyed her antics, but Izuku noticed a few people in clergy robes had entered and were looking about. Crap, you guys have drawn notice, Izuku said. He caught the serving boy. Hey, is there a back way out? My friend, she's not doing too good. And quat. Huh? Oh, sure, for you, no problem. This way. And quat. The boy led them out a back door, Megumin having to support a staggering Aqua. When they got outside, Aqua ended up vomiting into a pile of trash. That got the serving boy's attention, as it came out as a sweet-smelling rainbow. You really are her, aren't you? The boy whispered. You're the goddess, Aqua. I knew someone so kind and beautiful had to be a goddess! And quat. That's right, hick. Don't go tellin' nobody, Aqua said, wiping her mouth with her hand and only succeeding in clearing the right side. The boy nodded with awe, then shifted on his feet uneasily. Can you really heal people, like they say? And quat. Yesh. I'm an hick expert at healing, Aqua said, waving grandly. Then she puked again. Could you heal my dad? He came back from the fighting, but he's hurt. Lost his leg. He can't work no more. And quat. Of course, but, are you one of my hick worshippers? Aqua demanded. The boy nodded vigorously, and pulled out a crude amulet shaped like a water wheel. We're Axis church members. Please, it's not very far, you have to come help! And quat. I thought we didn't want to draw attention, May said, looking uncertain. Bah, it'll be fine. Besides, hick, he brought me the good stuff. Tasha miracle earnin'. Lead the way, kid. Aqua ordered, before drunkenly stumbling off after him. The boy led them a few blocks down the dark streets to a less orderly-looking part of town, the area showing signs of age and lack of maintenance compared to the main street. There were large tenement buildings, which were completely back in the night, as the residents could afford to waste candles. We live up at the top, the boy admitted. It's a long climb in the dark, but I have a candle. And quat. Don't treat it, Aqua told him. Holy light. A small glowing blue orb appeared in Aqua's hands. Lead the way! And quat. They hadn't gone far up the stairs before Izuku heard the sound of a wet cough, and a crying baby. The boy wrinkled his face. Lots of babies sick. The grip's been going through. I hope my baby sister doesn't get it. People are worried their babies are gonna die. And quat. That seemed to get Aqua's attention. What? No little babies are dying on my watch! And quat. Without warning, she barged into the nearest room, causing an immediate uproar. Get the hell out, I'm warning you, I've got a knife. A man bellowed. Oh shut up, Aqua snapped. Your baby's sick. She threw off her hood, and in the light emanating from her hand, the room was bathed in an ethereal glow. The man paused, lowering his weapon. Who are? And quat. Aqua shoved him aside, stepping over to the cowering woman who was clutching her child close. PFF, they want me to tell them holy words and stuff? Well, here's one, you dumb nobles. Get off your asses and use my gifts to heal people. Sheesh. Aqua ranted, her earlier inebriation apparently having vanished. Cure disease! And quat. The wailing baby suddenly quieted, its cough gone, and Aqua nodded, rolling up the sleeves on her dress. Right, where's the next one? And quat. Goddess? The man gasped, falling to his knees. Are you really? And quat. Yes, I'm Aqua, goddess of water, blah blah. You can thank me by going to my shrines and praying once in a while. Now hurry up, who else has a sick kid? Aqua demanded, planting her hands on her hips. Come on, Megumin said, tugging on Izuku's sleeve. Let's go wait outside. When she gets like this, it can take hours, or even days before she calms down again. And quat. What do you mean? Izuku asked, following Megumin back down the stairs. Megumin sighed. I've seen her manifest like this before. She doesn't do it very often, she's really quite lazy. But if her followers bug her enough, she'll go on a spree and cure an entire city before she calms down again. Then she yells at her priests for a while, then gets drunk and passes out. The only reason she never did it in Belzerk is because they had enough clerics to keep people mostly healthy. For some reason, seeing sick humans in particular really pisses her off. And quat. Can you help heal people too? May asked, curious. Megumin shrugged and shook her head. Unless the cure is more explosions, I can't really do anything for you. I'm not a healing goddess, you know. And quat. They ended up going to sit outside as shouting and lights began to fill the tenement. Izuku could hear Aqua making her way through the building, shouting out heal and cure disease. Other people from nearby buildings began to come out, complaining about the noise, but they were quickly silenced when those Aqua had healed began to spill out. The goddess Aqua, she's here! And quat. She cured my baby! And quat. She healed my foot! And quat. She came to us, she cares, she really cares! And quat. Before long, there was a huge, noisy crowd rejoicing outside of the building, clamoring for Aqua and her healing graces. What? Aqua demanded, sticking her head out of a window on the 4th floor. Damn it, I'll be down when I'm done. Midoriya. Keep them from rushing in, Someone's going to get hurt and I am not healing people for being dumb, you understand me? Now everybody shut up and let me work ! And quat. With a sigh, Izuku went over to the door, blocking the passageway. Please, everyone, just form an orderly line. Those with injuries or sickness, please wait on the right. Those who merely want to see the goddess, you can please group up on the left. And quat. Who are you? Someone shouted. Why should we listen to you! And quat. Wait, that's Lord Wolfsbane, the goddess's champion! And quat. Please, help us Lord Wolfsbane, my daughter has the grip! And quat. Izuku felt panicked, taking half a step back as people pressed close to him. Then there was a deafening bang and people let out cries of alarm. You are all being very rude. You should listen to Izuku. He said go to the right if you are sick, left if you are not. No, his right, pay attention. Stop being dumb. Hatsune lectured as she began to push people into line. Don't make me use another one of my babies to get your attention, the next one won't just be a flashbang! And quat. You should do what they say, Megumin said, coming to stand by Izuku. Aqua's going to be a while, but she'll come back, don't worry. Just make sure you have some drinks or something, she gets thirsty and bored really quickly. And quat. It's the goddess Megumin! And quat. The dark lady who can destroy armies at a word! And quat. That finally got everyone's attention, and with some mild jostling and grumbling, everyone got into a semblance of lines. What's all this then? A guardsman called, hurrying over with a torch. What the devil are you people doing out of bed so late? Is there a fire? And quat. It's the goddesses. They've come to grant us their blessings! And quat. The guardsman blinked, then looked up at Izuku. Good gods, Lord Midoriya? They've been looking for you everywhere! And quat. Hi, Izuku said, waving lamely. We, are on a holy mission! And quat. The guardsman nodded. I suppose so. Don't fret, milord, the city watch will keep order from here! And quat. Which was how Izuku ended up spending the night in the city slums. After another hour of the city watch coming to investigate, a group of clergy also showed up, which caused Aqua to harangue them for a solid 10 minutes. How can you claim to be part of my priesthood if you're just sitting on your lazy asses? The Axis cult gets shit done, do you understand me? Now you fat fuckers get out there and start healing the sick, or so help me I'll remove your blessings and have Megumin curse you all. She finished after a long and increasingly profane rant. I only know one curse, Megumin growled. And it is the curse of explosion. You are not moving, so I shall begin. Darkness, blacker than night, crimson redder than blood, heed my call! And quat. The archbishops, high priests, and other high church officials broke into a run, scattering throughout the slums and beginning to hand out free healings to those in need. Lord Midoriya? And quat. Izuku looked up to see Count Blue looking at him worriedly. Are you well? And quat. Yeah, sorry, just kinda tired, Izuku yawned. Mei was snoring on his shoulder, having fallen asleep nearly an hour ago. Izuku didn't know the time, but he figured it had to be close to dawn. Come on then, lad. The goddesses might not need sleep, but you do. Come, we've a carriage for you! And quat. Izuku didn't remember much after that, but the next thing he knew, he was in bed with Hatsune. A part of him wondered if that was proper, but the other half affirmed something for him. Her boobs really were pretty great. KONOSUBA. Academia. Deafening explosions rent the air, and for a moment, Kazuma felt slightly nostalgic. He shook that off though, grimacing and scratching at his ears. He put wax in them, as he told all the gunners to do, but still, the thunder of the cannon was ear-piercing. The gunnery was pretty crude, and the rate of fire was probably abysmal by normal standards, but the guns were still tearing huge chunks into the advancing army of goblinoids and undead. However, the enemy army just kept pressing forward, more bodies simply filling their place as they trampled over the fallen without care. Kazuma knew soon they would be up the walls. What to do then, he hadn't figured out yet. Jealous, Megumin? I've made a bigger boom than you now, Kazuma chuckled. He stepped up onto the parapet, posing with one hand pointing skyward, and the other making a V sign towards the foe. Firepower, greater than the gods, raining terror down upon our foes. Witness now the might of I, Kazuma, Slayer of Devil Kings and NEET Extraordinaire! And quat. That was when Kazuma saw a fireball rising up out of the enemy army, barreling right towards him. He let out a cry and tried to scramble back, only to have a firm hand grab and yank him away as it collided where he had been standing. Darkness let out a grunt as the missile impacted her, and Kazuma let out a squeak as she crushed the air from his lungs with her shielding embrace. "Thank you," he gasped. "Do not be so foolish, Kazuma. This is a battle, not a stage play," Darkness told him, setting him down on the stone of the walkway. She drew her sword. "Mages, stand by to defend the cannons. They are in range. If we lose the cannon now, victory will slip through our grasp!" And quote. Magical barriers were quickly erected around the cannons just as more fireballs and missiles impacted them. Kazuma watched them connect, then swore, "Damn it. They're just breaking through. It's like they're not even there!" And quote. Darkness suddenly rushed over, grabbing Kazuma and tackling him off the parapet. He let out a cry of panic, only to watch as lightning struck where he had been standing as they fell. "Levitate!" And quote. Kazuma gently floated to the ground, landing gently on the cobblestones. Uraka and Tokoyami ran up, looking panicked. "They're taking out the cannons with their own mages. They're too strong." Uraka said, "Kazuma, we have to do something to protect those cannons!" And quote. "Yeah, I get that," Kazuma said, grunting as Darkness got off of him and helped him up. He looked at Tokoyami. "You willing to try to do something crazy?" And quote. "We shall have to try something insane to beat this army," Tokoyami told him. "I am willing. The smoke and dust in the air shall aid me somewhat." And quote. "Okay then. Here's the plan," Kazuma pointed behind him. "We need to take out those mages. They're pounding us, and even with the cannons we don't really have shit we can do against the sheer numbers of them. All the magic users on our side are too low level to do anything against them, either attack or defense-wise as well. Which leaves us." And quote. His three companions nodded seriously, and Kazuma sighed heavily. "The plan is, we launch Darkness and Tokoyami into the midst of them. You two take out as many as you can. Uraka, you and I, well, ever played Counter-Strike?" And quote. No? Is that a video game?" Uraka asked, confused at the reference. "Yeah, well, never mind. We're going to go plant a bomb while Tokoyami and Darkness distract everyone. We make for the middle of the army, plant our bomb, and run like hell. Got it?" And quote. "How do we do that?" Uraka asked. Kazuma smiled. "Simple. We drop it on them." And quote. "Hey," Kazuma said, grabbing Tokoyami's arm as Darkness and Uraka ran off to prepare. "Do something for me, alright?" And quote. "She will be fine," Tokoyami told Kazuma with a tight grin. "Yeah, he's not gonna let her die until he taps that ass." Dark Shadow squawked. Kazuma gave the quirk a flat look, then sighed. "Look, she's my best friend. We've been through hell together. I know she can take care of herself, but I don't want to see her die again. Alright?" And quote. "You have my word. We will defeat this army, and live to tell the tale," Tokoyami assured Kazuma. "You just do the same for Uraka." And quote. "Yeah, don't worry, if she dies I'm screwed anyway, so I plan on keeping her healthy. Let's do this." And quote. They climbed to the top of the wall, where frantic soldiers were still trying to fire arrows or man the few remaining cannons, while mages were attempting to either erect magical barriers or fire off spells back at the foe between volleys. Below them surged a wave of howling goblins and undead, uncountable thousands, barely being fazed by the efforts above. Kazuma swallowed hard, then nodded to Uraka. "Do it." And quote. "Good luck you two," Uraka said, then touched Darkness and Tokoyami with her hands. "Oh, I cannot wait," Darkness squealed, then ran forward, leaping into the air. "Best," Kazuma cried, and his magic sent the two weightless heroes flying towards the nearest cluster of enemy mages. When they were close to the ground, Uraka cried, "Release!" And the two of them crashed into the enemy. Soon, Darkness was cleaving her way forward, the enemy's spell seemingly absorbed by her armor, while Dark Shadow ripped apart the enemy ranks with sweeping claws and a now razor-sharp beak. "She really is getting good with that sword," Kazuma mused. "Alright, how do we do this?" And quote. "Jump on," Uraka told him, patting her back. Kazuma eyed her. "What, you don't want to go for a ride on me?" And quote. "Let's just not argue, alright? Besides, if you're up front, I might just upchuck on you," Uraka told him. "Fine." And quote. Kazuma climbed on Uraka, feeling a bit awkward. She touched him, and he felt like he was floating in water. "Lurk." And quote. Using his wind magic, Kazuma navigated them over the battlefield. He took out a cannonball when they were out over the battlefield, passing it to Uraka for her to touch, then hurling it downwards. Once the ball floated down far enough, Kazuma pointed and cried, "Wait!" And quat. The blast sent the two of them careening through the air, but after a minute of being blown about, Kazuma managed to right them with a few well-timed gusts of wind. "Oh my god. I thought I was going to be the one to upchuck," Uraka sighed, wiping some of the vomit out of her hair. Sorry," Kazuma groaned. "I could wash it off for you. And quat. Save the MP. Come on, let's go," Uraka told him. They repeated the trick 3 more times, annihilating the enemy mages and a significant portion of the army each time, which was finally beginning to show signs of damage. "That's most of them. Let's check on Darkness and Tokoyami," Kazuma called down. "Right," Uraka agreed, and they glided towards the section of the battlefield they had left their friends. They hadn't gone far, however, before they saw lightning flashing through the sky, raking the ground below them. "Shit, looks like they found the boss," Kazuma hissed. Gust! And quat. Sure enough, below them Kazuma spied a flying mage of some sort, blasting the ground with lightning. Darkness was weathering the attacks, but she was crying out more in pain than pleasure now. Tokoyami was dodging most of the blasts, but both were helpless against the flying opponent, who was staying well out of even Dark Shadow's range, the luminescence of the lightning hindering him even more. "We're only gonna get one shot at this," Kazuma told Uraka. "We've got to bring her down before she notices we're here!" And quat. "Right, sure. How do we do that?" Uraka asked Kazuma. Kazuma took a deep breath. "You're going to have to toss me. Wait is a short-range spell. And quat. "Alright, you sure?" Uraka asked him. Sighing, Kazuma shook his head. "No, but we have to do it anyway. Darkness looks like she can't take much more of that. And quat. "Okay, here goes." Uraka grabbed Kazuma off her shoulders, then spun him about in the air. "Release!" And quat. Kazuma flew through the air, hurtling towards the flying mage. At the last moment, she spun, glaring at him, her dark eyes screaming with malevolence. She raised a hand that crackled with lightning, but Kazuma was in range now. "Wait!" he cried, just as the lightning struck him. He cried out in pain as the voltage ran through him, was barely still conscious as he tumbled out of the sky. He landed on something soft though thankfully, and blinked as he saw Darkness cradling him. He couldn't hear, and when he touched his ears, blood and melted wax came out on his hand. "El lesser heal," he coughed. Immediately his hearing returned, and he winced at the din of the battlefield. "Don't you dare die on me." Darkness was sobbing. Kazuma! And quat. "So, we have found you at last. I assume it was you who slew my sisters? And quat. Darkness dropped Kazuma, spinning about to face the mage as she approached them. She too was wearing a maid outfit, and though her bodice was shaped of metal, Kazuma got the impression she wasn't a robot like the last one. "I'll rip you to pieces." Darkness snarled, charging forward. Dragon lightning! And quat. A roaring dragon's head made of electricity smashed into Darkness, arching over her metal armor. Darkness cried out in agony and ecstasy, shuddering and dropping to one knee. "Pathetic! I thought you were supposed to be your world's strongest warrior. Well, we did kill you once before, Lalatina Ford dustiness. I killed your father myself." Squeezed the life from him when it was clear he knew not where that axe's bitch was. And quat. "Urug!" Darkness surged forward, her sword forgotten, her eyes wild with fury as she tried to charge the mage directly. Dimensional move. And quat. Darkness stumbled through empty air, and as she spun another burst of lightning struck her. "You humans always succeed in disgusting me. I do not know why my master insists on leaving any of you alive at all. The worlds would be better off without you scuttling about like infestations. And quat. The mage said. Kazuma kept one eye open, watching her. She'd just teleported. She'd also cancelled his weight spell, he could feel it. Tokoyami charged in, but the mage simply raised a hand, conjuring a great burst of light. Tokoyami reeled, and Dark Shadow vanished like the morning mist. "Fool! Why do you fight for these humans? What are you, Birdman? No, you have no wings. Some sort of race unique to this world then?" And quat. I am Fumikage, Tokoyami," the boy coughed, standing and drawing his sword. "I shall be your end!" And quat. The mage tisked. "Japanese? So many of you fools from that land. Best if you die like the others. Magic arrow. And quat. Darkness managed to jump in the way at the last moment, stifling a moan and collapsing to the ground. "Do you enjoy it, the pain?" the mage asked, smiling maliciously. "I remember you being a disgusting masochist. Shall I do it again? And quat. I can take anything you have, bitch, Darkness panted harshly, rising and taking one shaky step forward after another, her fists weakly raised. Really? Let us see, the mage mused, a vicious grin on her face. Lurk, Kazuma whispered. He got up shakily, watching the sky. Yes. It was time. He charged forward, keeping his angle of attack just right. At the last moment, the mage teleported again. That won't work again, Sato Kazuma, she taunted. You may have bested some of my sisters, but in the end, it matters not. So long as we fulfill the wishes of my master, we in Quat. Kazuma gritted his teeth as Uraka dropped out of the sky. He had to make this work? The mage stepped aside as Uraka's fingers brushed her and Kazuma pointed a hand at her. Stone skin, fortitude. He took a deep breath, crossing his fingers. Uraka scrambled away from the mage, activating her quirk on herself. Kazuma pointed to the mage, who was off balance from the loss of gravity. Wait! In Quat. The blast was blinding, but Kazuma closed his eyes, jumping up and grabbing Uraka as the shockwave sent her flying. He put his hand on her chest, groaning, lesser heal! In Quat. She gasped, her eyes popping open. Thanks. In Quat. Kazuma didn't answer, setting Uraka down and instead running over to Darkness. Lesser heal! In Quat. That is enough, Darkness said, managing again to stand. See to Tokoyami as well. In Quat. Right. In Quat. Kazuma agreed, now putting his hands on Tokoyami. Lesser heal! In Quat. NNG. Thank you. I only wish you could do the same for Dark Shadow, Tokoyami grunted out, managing to move to a crouching position. Well, at least it looks like we got all the mages, Uraka said, looking around, before turning back to the crater now behind them. And the boss. In Quat. Kazuma smiled, looking around the battlefield. Yeah. Not bad. I guess we in Quat. A hunting horn blared from nearby. Kazuma spun wildly to see what looked like a human girl with blonde hair and brown eyes blowing on a horn no bigger than her hand. You killed her. The girl cried, lowering the horn. How many of them have you killed, you bastard? She was my friend! In Quat. I mean, she said she hated all humans, Kazuma said, shrugging. Don't see why you're so upset. In Quat. I am no longer a human. I cast that aside, thanks to my master. Now, I am a goblin. The girl snapped. And my soldiers will make you pay! In Quat. All around Kazuma's party, white mist arose, which condensed into hundreds of fresh goblin troops. There were goblins riding wolves, goblins in heavy armor, goblin archers, and, of course, more goblin mages. Oh shit, Kazuma groaned. He sighed. Sorry, Darkness. In Quat. It is all right, she said, picking up her sword and gripping it in both hands. We will stand together, Kazuma. We will find a way out. Somehow. In Quat. You will, Kazuma agreed, and he jumped on Darkness's back. Drain touch. In Quat. Kazuma. Darkness flailed her arms, trying to shake Kazuma off. What? I don't. In Quat. Darkness sank down to the ground, too weak to rise. Sorry, I just can't do it again, Kazuma whispered, gently smoothing the hair away from Darkness' forehead. Uraka, levitate this. He ordered, and handed the girl a large rock. Okay, but what in Quat? Then get you three out of here, Kazuma said grimly. I'll have to take out that girl with the horn. It's the only way. In Quat. What? Tokoyami gasped. You can't be in Quat. Dark Shadow is down for the count. Darkness had almost no HP left, and Uraka and me can't fight all these guys off. Get out of here, he ordered. Kazuma, what are you? Uraka swallowed, touching the rock. She handed it back, then grabbed Darkness and Tokoyami. Thank you. Good luck. In Quat. Yeah, well, just win this one for me, okay? Kazuma said. Gust! In Quat. Uraka dragged the unconscious Darkness and struggling Tokoyami off through the sky. Kazuma tucked the rock under his arm and drew Chunkameru. Well, guess it's time to see how lucky I am. In Quat. He charged the goblins, evading most of the attacks, but not quite all. Still, they were just goblins. Most of them were below level 20, and Kazuma's skills meant he carved through them with ease, using his sword and more than a bit of luck. He dashed and dodged, never staying put. He had to heal himself a couple times, but he used Drain Touch to get back HP and MP where he could, but blood spattered his torn leathers. He gritted his teeth and pressed on. He closed in on the girl, and smiled to himself. He leapt into the air, holding aloft the rock. Explosion! He screamed, and the earth shook and rent asunder at his landing. Thank you for making it to the end. You are breathtaking. If you enjoyed this video and don't want to miss out on future updates, then make sure to subscribe. Until next time.